Today on Deception Decoded, we dig into how artificial intelligence, widely available on the internet, is being used to enhance images. But sometimes, instead of making things more clear, they're actually fabricating elements which are not real at all. And this is now happening in highly charged events like the recent shootings in Minneapolis. Joining us now with more, Giancarlo Fiorella, who is the Director of Research and Training at Bellingcat, an independent investigative collective which specializes in fact-checking and investigations using open source intelligence. Thanks for being with us today, Giancarlo.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's dive right in here. First, what happened in the Minneapolis shootings, which killed Renee Good? There were images posted online where AI enhancements were used. Walk us through what you saw and what happened here.
So what we saw was a large number of images online that had been so-called upscaled with AI tools by ordinary people who were wanting to find out exactly what happened in these cases. So they used these tools with the goal of adding clarity to these images. Now, what happens sometimes with AI upscaling is that rather than revealing information that's in the images or adding clarity to them, they actually end up fabricating new details in the images, in fact, hallucinating new information. And so what we saw was the creation and the spread of these images that, rather than clarify what happened, actually were confusing the situation because they contained elements that were fabricated by the AI platforms. They were completely hallucinated.
Okay, so we're looking at an example on screen right now, Giancarlo, of the ICE officer who's alleged to have fired his gun at Renee Good, and he had a mask over his face. And as I understand it, users on X asked the AI tool Grok to remove that mask, and the image on the right, which is AI generated, falsely, this is not his real face, falsely, as you say, hallucinates what his face might look like. Have I got that right?
That's exactly correct. Yes, the platform has no way of knowing what that individual actually looks like because there's no data in the image showing his face. It's covered by a mask. But again, the platform fills in the missing data with what it thinks his face could look like based on other images of people that these platforms have been trained on. And so you get a very realistic image of an individual's face that, you know, without knowing that platforms are able to hallucinate in this way, can perhaps trick people into thinking that it's an accurate representation of that person's face, which it wasn't.
So let's fast forward to what the impact of this is. This led to people falsely identifying the shooter, the alleged shooter, as someone they thought was called Steve Groves. So then they start hunting down Steve Groves across the United States. The shooter's name, by the way, allegedly was Jonathan Ross. He is in court documents. Steve Grove is a publisher of the Minnesota Star Tribune, and that paper denounced this false witch hunt, saying, "We are currently monitoring a coordinated online disinformation campaign incorrectly identifying the ICE agent involved in yesterday's shooting." To be clear, the ICE agent has no known affiliation with the Star Tribune. We encourage people looking for factual information written by trained journalists, not bots, to follow us and read the Star Tribune. So this has huge implications when you're falsely identifying people. And then there were more instances, Giancarlo, in the other shooting of Alex Preddy where AI, quote, enhancements were used. Tell us what happened there.
So what we saw in the Alex Preddy shooting was that after the DHS agents had removed the weapon from Alex Preddy, they took a photo of it and then shared it online and said, you know, this is a weapon that we removed from Alex Preddy during this incident. Again, what happened in that case was that people online were looking at videos from this incident and pictures from this incident, and they were trying to discern more details on the weapon that was seen in the videos, trying to match it to the one that DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, had released. And again, what we saw was that the AI platforms were not revealing information in the images or clarifying the information, but rather just making up new details about this weapon, again creating confusion because the images were presented as being accurate representations of the weapon when in fact they were not. They were again hallucinations by these AI platforms with these images that were provided to them by users.
So what we're seeing on the screen a moment ago was a really blurry screen grab of the video, the cell phone video that's gone viral, showing what we thought was the gun, and then there was a provided photo, I think, from law enforcement showing that gun that they confiscated from the scene. The AI enhancement in the other image we showed moments ago show really sharp resolution of the gun that is not the gun. There we are. You see an officer holding a gun. That's not the actual gun. So this is made up, is what you're saying.
Yes, and indeed, this is something that we're seeing more and more of because of the availability of these AI upscaling tools. You've had people who want to gain more insight into what happened, into a particular incident. They think that the tools are clarifying the information or revealing hidden information, but in fact, what they're doing is they're in some cases, including these two that we've just discussed, creating information and adding to the confusion.
Giancarlo, who's policing this online?
Well, some social media platforms have content tags. So we know Meta has a Made with AI tag that they attach to some images that are created with AI. There's been some controversy over how that is being applied. X has the Community Notes program that is supposed to catch this sort of thing and add notes to pieces of dis and misinformation with clarification. So the short answer is that so far it's mostly the platforms themselves to decide whether or not they want to tag this kind of content, how they want to tag it, and how strict they want to be with the rules for tagging it.
Scary stuff. Giancarlo Fiorella, we appreciate your time and your insight very much. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
That's Giancarlo Fiorella from Bellingcat.